We're probably live. Hey everyone, welcome to Top Tech Heroes.
Hello! We're
We're
back
back.
after our short 1 week hiatus. And we are glad to be back, and there is a ton of news at the top of the hour. But before we get to that, I'm your host, Sean from Rochester CCG. We have Kevin Broberg, one of the winningest
everyone.
American winners of UFS.
I need to log in to Twitch.
And
you
Kevin
don't.
Broberg is also the leader in the Player of the Year standings right now. And then lastly, we've got Matt Hughes.
Hi.
He's popular for starting the trolliest troll threads on the forums. Specifically trolling Jasco games, it seems like.
Hey, I didn't start the ever hopeful one a few months back.
You didn't start the fire. So, we're back, and so at the top of the hour, our big news thing is spoilers. We've
got them.
We have a shitload of them. So, I suppose we better dive right into it with our first attack, which is Lightning Judgment.
Lightning
Cue that
Judgment.
one up, Hughes.
Yep. Alright, this is an Eligor card, for anyone who doesn't know who that is yet. It's going to be one of the starter deck characters. It's a 4 difficulty, 2 check, all good in order, 3 high for 5, ranged, and reversal. Its first enhance is players with more than 10 foundations add 2 ready foundations to the top of their deck. And E, your turn, discard the top card of your deck. This attack gets a damage bonus equal to control of the discarded card.
Hughes, it's a build your own Ryu.
Yeah, I know! It's going to be even more retarded in Ryu.
So,
Gonna
my initial thoughts on this card is, remember back in February when Jasco Games posted the state of the game? And he mentioned this wall buster mechanic?
This is probably it.
This is probably the face.
I mean, I guess it's time to tear down that wall. So, 2 ready foundations is, I think, quite a bit. This card's going to be really good on a backswing turn, or even more devastating as a reversal.
Yeah, this card is completely disgusting if it's like turn 16 and your opponent just failed to kill you and you say, okay, let's both stack 2 on top of our decks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because you're not only guaranteeing your own control checks, you're also like virtually stun killing them, and they don't get those back next turn either. And then you get the huge damage bonus on top of that.
I'm going to like putting on top of my deck.
Heroes training?
Yeah, Heroes Training's I had to play out early game.
Maybe. This card's like the big daddy Cossack Buster. Although it's a little slower, so
yeah,
it's got that against it.
Yeah, but this is a reversal, maybe like towards the end of an attack string when your opponent has, dumped a ton of resources, and you can stack.
Oh, for sure.
You can stack Heroes Training, and then if you're playing Ryu on top of it, so.
Yeah, I don't think either of you guys have played very many decks with Quick and Precise recently, have you?
No, I want to.
The deck that won the UK PTC this weekend matches 3 symbols with this card for one.
Yeah,
it's Mega Man.
That was what I was saying. This is
cannot
gonna be
imagine
awesome.
trying to kill him late game through this kind of thing, because he can tap down 1 with his ability, put 2 on top of that ability, this card's stack effect, and then also Quick and Precise you a bunch of times to stun you out even more. It's going to be real hard to get through that and the Hanya on board.
Yeah, that Mega Man deck is going to love this card, I think. Because it's a ranged reverse. That Mega Man deck's going to love this card, with it being the ranged reversal.
Actually, the one thing this card doesn't have that Mega Man likes is just a high natural speed. 3 speed high is not difficult to block for anyone these days.
However, something to make it so you don't have to care about that a bit. There's been the joke for the past year or so with Jesse and I about how cards need to pass or fail a Raiden check in playtesting. Clearly. They have to.
Oh no! An 11 damage throw. Whatever shall I do?
It's an 11 damage throw that makes your next 11 damage throw pass.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'll just block with double leaf shield, clearly.
If you're me, yeah.
This card has the most important keyword for Raiden, ranged.
Yeah.
So that you can blue bomber the mess out of it.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take their heads off. I like it.
This card's gonna be awesome.
This is an exciting attack. This is an attack that's going to help end games.
Just to play the devil's advocate, because we're being altogether too excited about this card. This card does have no block and a 2-check.
Yes, that was the very first thing I pointed out online.
If your opponent doesn't put 10 foundations in play. It is
Most,
not
most,
worth it.
most people put 10 foundations in play these days.
Yeah. I don't know.
I don't know, man.
In my opinion, there are certain situations that I can set up with deck building alone where I think I would rather be the one with 10 foundations and my opponent doesn't.
Yeah,
Because,
guarantee your next 2 checks for sure.
yeah, like guaranteeing your next 2 checks. Because the problem with this card is if they have a lot of ready foundations already, putting 2 on top, you're actually just making their decks more consistent.
They're gonna block.
Yeah.
Easier.
And if you're not pressuring them, they're just gonna put their summer heats on top and then draw those and play them again and get more stuff out. So you're actually gonna help the wall decks if you don't pressure them to get them off the top.
Mm-hmm. Well, and we'll talk about this more later, but I think with especially the other attack that was spoiled today, I think that Jazz Games is pushing for games not to get out of control, like with the wall decks. I think they with kind of beefier attacks that do more.
Yeah.
I think it's going to encourage people to try to end the game sooner.
Yeah, like we'll see, but currently
Yeah.
the other attack, it's definitely a step in that direction. We'll get to it. This one I think is actually 1 step forward, 2 steps back.
I think that, like, broadly speaking, the wallbuster mechanic, like saying 10 foundations in play, just means that as the game goes on, cards get stronger and stronger to help the games actually reach a conclusion. And I think that's something that's been lacking at a lot of points in the game's history. Like, you have mechanics like desperation, which actually mean don't attack because your opponent will backswing you for free. You have mechanics like multiple, which are just great at any point in the game. You have mechanics like powerful. Similarly, just as soon as you get momentum, they're online completely. Can be turn 2, can be turn 1.
Mm-hmm.
And the wallbuster explicitly doesn't turn online until at least turn 3 or 4.
Right. I mean, it kind of reminds me of the days when we used to have like Sardines Beach Special and High Plasma Beam, because those cards were not good if you let the game go too long. You were in trouble.
Oh, they were not good to play against, or
yeah, they're not good to run up against.
Yeah.
Game.
Yeah,
No,
you're happy to like your opponent plays High Plasma Beam on turn 2. You're like, the hell is this? They play it
Cool.
on turn 16. Ooh, danger.
Also, a nice neat thing also with Blue Bomber with this, the way it's phrased, you can activate Blue Bomber's Enhance on their attack, then reversal. It'll apply to this.
Yeah.
So you can...
funny. All right, let's move on to the first foundation from the next set, the World of Indines.
Heart of Flame.
This card is sexy.
My baby. One of my favorite girls from Indines.
2/5 air, earth, fire. E-commit, if your tax damage is below printed, it gets +4 damage. But that's not the most important thing on that card. The most important thing is that sexy new block modifier. Now,
that's important. I don't say it's the most important.
It's the most important thing.
This is a 2 difficulty 5 control foundation, by the way.
So, as somebody who's demoed a lot of UFS, and the 3 of us have demoed a shitload of UFS.
Yeah.
Blocking is really hard to explain because the bubbles before for attacking and blocking looked almost exactly the same.
Yeah, you'd play a rapid protobuster, and you'd say this is a low attack, and they would say, but what? It's got a high circle.
But this new symbol makes it stupidly simple to understand that you block with shields. Unless you're Captain America. He throws his shield.
Well, hey, maybe there'll be a card that does that.
The one thing
damage equal to the block modifier. I would take that.
The one thing that bothers me about it is how the zones are on the other side now.
That's a little weird, yeah. But I think
like it's one of those adjustment process things. Like it's definitely, in my opinion, it could have looked better, but it'll be plenty worth it for what this will do for teaching people how to play. And I think
that's the biggest thing to come out of this change.
I think would be an awesome idea because they talked back in one of the State of the Games where they put up about how they were reprinting the Darkstalkers and Mega Man set. I would like it if they had changed all the images to have this new block modifier.
Well, one thing I can say is Jason_Jasco is on right now in the Twitch chat. And a suggestion I would give to him is if he prints any more of those demo decks, the Proto Man Mega Man demo decks, it'd be really cool if he can change those to shields. because that's when that's going to be the most useful.
Yep.
Use is when you're like sitting at a convention and it's super loud and you're trying to teach people
Or maybe
how to
some Indines demo decks.
Yeah, hopefully the Indines demo decks are playable for new players and maybe not, horrendously complicated.
Any
No,
other-
I was more
haven't been
just
horrendously complicated lately either.
I was more just saying, oh my god, my cat is trying to attack me. Sorry, but I was more just saying like make Indines demo decks. Kind of like how the original
I
demo
see.
decks were like really scaled down versions of the tins.
Yeah, they were a subset of the tins.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's an idea.
Well, if we're watching the chat, Jason_Jasco said that new demo decks are going to be Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat characters.
Even better.
Even better.
I'll buy that for $1.
Yeah.
I like this card a lot. If your attack's at below printed damage, a lot of things like 8,000 degrees can reduce your attack by 1. That's just super annoying. But turning that into +3 damage is really good.
Yeah. I hadn't actually considered playing it against 8,000 degrees, which is a sometimes very irritating card when you're playing cards like Karamidama.
It's also good against like the Clark DR deck that's shown up and whatnot.
Yeah, that was my first thought, and I feel like this card for right now is a little bit worse than Getting a Ride in the metagame, because Getting a Ride also has an incredible second ability of resetting speed.
Potentially true.
Yeah, because this card doesn't beat the Wall of Goro, because that's during the block stop. And this card still runs into the BB Hood Foundation.
Yeah, first class materials.
First class materials, because if your attack's below printed and you got 2 first class materials, that undoes this card.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Clark
I
can
mean-
easily just throw like 6 -2s at you, and like this just gets swallowed up in that pile of stuff.
But you make
But
them
with
use
this
more. You make them use more
Yeah,
on
with-
one attack.
It's certainly something,
Yeah.
and I think that if you can play a card like 8,000 degrees in your own deck and have a proactive like synergy plan with this card to help turn your own stuff down and then turn it back up with this and then something else, and that's really where you want to be.
Yeah.
You paid off the most.
Yeah, like it would be awesome if Dual Persona still existed and shared symbols with this card.
This card would be super good with
I-
Dual Persona.
I really miss Dual Persona.
I don't. Can you imagine Clark with Dual Persona?
Well, Hughes just wants to rain flush with Dual Persona.
Yes!
I think
I
I
want-
name two cards that don't share any symbols with it.
Yes! That's the problem. There's a lot of problems.
Kevin Broberg, if I get my way with my champ card, that won't matter.
It'll matter a little bit.
But
Just
not
a
as
little
much.
It'll mostly matter that Dual Persona's banned. I don't think your champ card's gonna say you may play one card on the ban of this.
Oh, that'd be pretty awesome.
That'd be an amazing card.
I choose Master of Magnetism.
I,
I'd
choo-
choose Harnessing Chaos. You're a scrub.
I choose Kaplow.
I forgot that all those cards were on the ban list. I'm going to choose Paralyzing Touch.
Wait, what's Piercing Howl, people? Come on.
Your scale's not good.
All right, moving on
That would give the
to
Surveyor it back.
Well, let's ask Garrett Brett back about that.
our next
Yeah,
spoiler.
Our first character,
Kadath!
which I'm gonna read because you guys aren't hyped on him. So he's a 626 Death, Life, and Void character who's a 6'1 male, 165 pounds, blood type O, if that matters. I don't think it does.
Breakfast.
Breakfast.
Oh, baby!
Speaking of breakfast, he has his enhance that gives +3 damage, specifically once per turn for no cost, +3 damage to this attack, and no more enhances may be played during the enhance step. And then he has response once per turn again, destroy 1 foundation as the cost. After your opponent plays a foundation card as a form, discard it from their card pool.
Now, this character is a damn shame.
It's a damn shame.
Damn shame that he could not stop Ever Hopeful's response.
Yep.
If you've got momentum, you get your Ever Hopeful.
Well, he forces you to spend the momentum at least.
Everybody who plays Ever Hopeful with momentum is going to add to their staging area and attack you and pack your poop in anyhow.
You clearly haven't played a lot of Ever Hopeful decks, homie.
Clearly not, I guess.
I've seen enough of them on camera that always bring them right down, so.
But you've never played it yourself, so you don't know.
So my initial assessment of this character was he didn't seem terribly exciting, but when you think about what you can do with his abilities, once per turn, +3 damage, no more enhances. If I'm staring down a Navos, I will be very happy to have that ability.
Yeah, that was pointed out to me before the show started, and that's something for him. I'm one of those people that considers him pretty weak.
Yeah, I think he's a control character, so his strength isn't so much doing a big flashy thing and stunning you with how like with all of the endless possibilities, so much as he's about taking away your opponent's options and making life unhappy for them and trying to deny them their game, while also I think that +3 damage goes a long way to helping him be able to close things out. Like if you attack him and he doesn't need to use his enhance, then he can reversal you and get a really free, pretty beefy reversal. You can't even like spend girl like any others or anything to mitigate. Um,
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I mean, the resource denial could be like, I can't imagine playing Clark against this guy. That sounds awful.
See what I imagine, and we'll get to it in a minute. I want to run this guy with the next attack, followed by like a Gamma Crush,
We'll see.
which we'll get to the next attack in a minute.
yeah.
Oh, it does. Cool. Okay.
It's got death. It's got Dr.
I
Wiley
see.
stuff.
Yeah, that's the thing with him is death is the symbol that basically since day one of UFS, I haven't ignored it, but I've never really played it. So people have pointed out to me that there's a bunch of Wily interactions you could do with him, where he might be something.
Yeah, Genius Architect is kind of a funny one, although
Yeah.
I don't think it's very good.
Yeah.
Launch your Genius Architect to your hand.
Yeah.
Curse blood somebody.
Yeah, like the problem with that is that it's drawing a card just before your draw step, so it's where it's least important.
Right, but you're not like down a foundation, but you are.
You are. You
You
are.
are. You
Like
you
that-
really want a card like Glacial Assault or I was gonna say Ahsoka Prince, but that doesn't work at all.
Like this is the biggest comparison for him is Dimitri.
Yeah, he's a controlling six hand size life character.
Yeah.
I agree.
Dimitri shuts off the abilities, but still your opponent still gets the actual foundation for passing checks.
Mhm.
It's completely for free. It's just once per turn you flip something down. Where here he can deny the card entirely, but at the cost of reducing one foundation from yourself as well. So the problem with that is, especially in a control deck, you want to be having more foundations than them. You want to have more resources. Dimitri does it by having better quality. Here, you keep at parity. So unless there was a foundation that immediately put itself back into play with his support.
I mean,
don't know.
if you blow up a face down, you're at parity compared to Dimitri because you're losing a face down and trading them for a whole card rather than trading no cards for giving them a face down.
I don't know, but
If we're just counting cards,
Mm-hmm.
and
So
he's great with Summer Heat.
let's move on to talking about
Okay.
foundations and parity, because in our next card, Call the Storm, brings back this wallbuster thing we talked about earlier. So Call the Storm is a 4 difficulty, 2 control check attack, 5 bid for 5, death, fire, and order, ranged, and stun 2. Okay, so this got a lot of text on it, so give me a minute.
so
I'm looking very carefully at this card, trying to tell which person is doing the attacking and which one is doing.
I
the
am
getting
90% certain that it's supposed to be Voco on the front.
Okay, yeah, I see like a little tornado going on.
So at any rate, commit your character. If your opponent has 8 or more ready foundations, change this attack stun rating to 5. If your opponent has 10 or more ready foundations, change this attack stun rating to 8 instead. So this card is a wombo combo with Swordman. Because for those of you who don't remember, Swordman has static text that says after a card in your opponent's staging area is committed duty or effect, ready this character. I think that's funny.
Yeah, this card is real nice, and it is hilarious with Swordman. So I think one of the big metrics for this card is how well does it work when you're not busting a wall down. How many of these do you want to put in your deck? And I think it's actually kind of cool that if it's like turn 16, you have a million cards in play. You can't, unless you're Swordman, you can't stun 8 twice. You only get 1, and it does eat up your character. So there's an interesting choice if you want to do it sooner or later in the turn.
Right. Oh, like I said about the last character, I want to play like a Call the Storm and follow that up. I mean, because if your opponent's got 10 ready foundations, you'd commit 8 of them, and then you follow it up with a Gamma Crush, a Flying Fortress Buster,
A Rain Flush.
a Rain Flush.
Just 10 damage move. It's not that big a deal, but it's a big deal.
So far, back to the Wallbuster thing, it seems like 10 foundations is a bad number. Anything
Yeah.
more than 10 is bad.
Although
Or
in this
less
case,
good.
actually, there's a small asymmetry here. In the previous card, if you have 10 foundations exactly, you don't have more than 10, so you don't trigger the ability. With this card, if you have 8 even, you get stun 5. If you have exactly 10, you get stun 8'd. So there's a small discrepancy here.
Oh, I hate that. Jason,
Yeah.
why can't things always be the same? Why couldn't Lightning Judgment be if your opponent has 10 or more, and then this one be 10 or more? Because people are going to get confused, and they're going to
No.
complain.
I mean, just stay under 10. Stay at 9 or less, and hope they don't have this one to stun 8 you. Stun 5 you.
Well, that's
I don't.
that's not my thought. It's just like, I know for me, a lot of times I take shortcuts when I'm playing UFS cards. Like, I look at the pictures.
Yeah.
I don't think too much about what the exact wording is. And now we've got to deal with, in this set, 10, more than 10, 8 or more. Ugh. That's
So how about this card with Benimaru's Foundation, Shaken Pride, plus X damage, X
Whoa!
equals this attack stun
That
rating?
doesn't have a max, does it?
No.
Tim Keefe didn't design that card.
Yes. Well, I think Tim Keefe didn't design this card because you're not supposed to have a stun rating this far off the charts. The Dream Boy.
Man.
We have identified the dream. And I will invoke a one time to live the dream.
All right, gotta find the best. Oh, I guess I'm gonna play Benimaru with this card. Oh, but if I tap him, then I don't get to use my character.
Yeah, you don't get +8 to your next control check. Unless you ready
Yeah.
him with the Reese Foundation. What's it called?
We're reaching here now.
Hand of a
So we're going. Yeah,
Hand of a
because we're
time,
going
yeah.
to another symbol.
Play extended Zealot Rush that shit.
So clearly,
Ooh.
kind of my thoughts on attacks right now, with Jason clearly back at the helm here, is attacking's really good with this set. You want to attack if your opponent gets up over 10, you want to keep attacking. I feel like with cards like this, there isn't like that stigma of like, well, fuck, Garrett's got 30 foundations in his staging area. I literally can never attack him, and I'm just going to lose eventually.
Yeah, I think this card especially, like I've played some Airwall decks recently, just like sit there, stare at them, eventually up smash Navos, whatever them. And I really don't want to play against this card. I think this even covers Otaku Hater, doesn't it? Because you that changes stun rating to 0, and then this changes it back to 8.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Air does not like this card at all. Air is you're gonna have to see a lot more proactive Felici kind of Air decks than, quad Soba Free kind of Air decks.
Or my favorite character from my favorite license, Tiffany Jamber.
Tiffany Jamber.
Tiffany Jamber.
From everyone's favorite Jasco Games license.
Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, man.
But yeah,
Totally not Fidel.
Jason said that mid attacks are going to be better than they have been.
That's interesting. I hope they don't get too much better, or else it'll be like you're playing Templar or you're losing. That's like the danger.
Ugh, I hate Templar.
That's the thing with mid attacks right now is that they're not way better than everything else. So unless you're playing like Leona herself with Leona Blade or Chasm Buster, like it's really hard to just walk into Templars all day.
Yeah, I know an easy way to just make mid attacks better, without power creeping them like this. Just get rid of Templar.
Just ban Templar.
This card's
Yeah.
not power creep.
No, this card I think this card's actually fairly much in line with some of our more powerful attacks we've seen recently.
Yeah, I guess there is one thing with this card. It is another 4/2 no block.
Yeah, like honestly, this card is substantially worse than Dancing Flash. Although that's partly because of Dancing Flash's support. Like this card does have 2 with Shield Ram, and it is ranged.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah, like
Ooh.
tapping. You tap out their card right-handed, you can Shield Ram them for free, boys.
Oh
But
man, I think I'm starting to like
I,
this wall buster thing.
I'm actually hoping though, like I definitely like it. I'm just hoping that there's not too many 4-2 low no blocks. I'm hoping there's not too many more of those.
I mean, if you want to play your mono Indines deck, you'll have to make some sacrifices.
You may have to run cards without blocks used, and 2 checks that aren't rain flush.
Shock and horror.
I'm running Light and Judgment instead of Rain Flush.
So,
I've ditched it for a new toy.
We have a special treat for our viewers tonight on Top Deck Heroes.
Yeah. We've got another spoiler.
A bonus spoiler! Woo!
Everyone ready for it?
No.
No? Well, too bad anyways. It's called Graven Castle Ruins. It's a 2/5 asset with Earth, Fire, and Good with a +2 high block. Terrain. Your attack gets +2 damage and +2 speed for each other copy with the same name in your card pool, playable by either player. Destroy 1 foundation, add 1 attack from your discard pile to your card pool, playable by either player. This is my first time actually reading this, because they sent it to me right before the show. So, you guys talk about it first.
This is the combo enabler that Know When to Talk was nerfing. Like, this is what we deserve after having to deal with Know When to Talk back when the keyword first came out. Because this card sets up combos like a boss.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this card I think is very exciting. Once again, it's got that super sexy new block modifier in the upper right-hand corner.
Oh, yeah.
That's very obviously a block.
Yep.
Now, the one thing to take interest in here, though, is because the first E is playable by either player, if you don't play that enhance first, if you want to use it, and you do something
Your opponent
else.
is cunning. You have a cunning foe.
So if your opponent's been playing UFS for a couple weeks, they're going to use this enhance so you can't.
Yep, it's got a stupid little trick. Enhanced are playable once per enhanced step. Period. This card doesn't say both players can play it once per enhanced step. It says playable by either player. So that means whoever plays it first gets to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you want to put a negative stolen into your card pool because you're playing Dimitri with its second ability. If you want to stop your opponent from doing that, well, maybe you should blow up a foundation right away.
But this card kind of rewards you if you're like stacking up 4-ofs of all your attacks. Because this card will be kind of funny with like Flash Lightning.
This card's amazing with flashlight. It's amazing with anything that works in the card pool, really.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even think of that. And like I said, combo enabler, and I didn't even realize that it's insane with Darkside Master on Earth. I think this is like a subtle wall breaker card. Like, it doesn't say 10 foundations on it, but if it's late game, you can start stacking up all your attacks in your card pool. You have your giant staging area to pay for all the control check costs from that added progressive difficulty, and then you get the +2/+2 for that, +4/+6 even, rolling that way, and start overwhelming your opponent with that.
It gets bigger.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I would like to draw like 2 or 3, somehow get 2 or 3 Flash Lightnings into my hand. It'd be like Flash Lightning again. Now it's 2 mid for 6. Now it's a 4 mid for 8.
Just imagine your opponent Kapoken trading through Shield Ram, and you're like, oh, that's so sad. Here's another Shield Ram.
So, this card's really cool. Jason says something about Trinity Guys. That card's bad.
Yeah, card sucks. Get good.
Card's okay. It's overrated.
This card is actually great with Trinity Guys, right? I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
That's super goofy. Like, we need
Yeah.
more things to go off with our 6 difficulty 3-piece combo card. But yeah, if like you play your second or third Trinity Geyser, they get like +6. And plus speed, very important, because that's the weakness of Trinity Geysers. Your opponent can just block them if they have enough.
With Templar. So,
yeah,
overall,
I think.
Oh, go ahead, Hughes. I'm sorry.
Well, no, just back to the Geyser thing a little bit. I think if Caught Red-Handed didn't exist, Geyser would be much, much bigger of a card.
I mean
Trinity
Geyser
the hard part's revoke.
It's still vulnerable to Kapoken training. It's still vulnerable to revoke.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's things that it's still vulnerable to. I mean, the big difference is like caught red-handed and Capocan are like in your staging area, staring at you, like sticking out its tongue, going. "Ah." But
Yeah.
I mean, it is a dickings to like combo a Trinity Geyser and get revoked, and you don't even know it's coming, and then all you can do is just like hang your head in shame. But
Yeah, I think you could probably do a pretty interesting analysis of Trinity Geyser and all the decks people have played it in and why it has been in more places. Because I mean, I know it. What's his name? Paul Bittner was playing it in his Paul Bittner deck at Worlds this year, and I don't think I've actually seen any other 7-hand size characters playing it really. Even though 3-piece combo kind of says you should play 7-hand size to enable this. It's kind of a curiosity why that's not happening.
mhm. So overall, definite shift in design philosophy. I'm thinking, especially with this wall buster mechanic. I think out of the last cycle of cards, 7-handers I think became pretty good, and by their very nature, 7-handers are able to play more foundations because they have more cards in their hand.
Yep.
And this wall buster mechanic I think is gonna rein in 7-handers a little bit because their biggest advantage of being able to play, 14 foundations to like a 6-hander's 10 to a 5-hander's 7 is it becomes a liability now.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's kind of the problem. Like when been playing, like I've been playing Lilith Void for on and off for the past month, and even when I'm being very, very aggressive, I'm still building a lot of foundations pretty quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm actually kind of worried if it will be too strong. 10 seems like a good number though, but
Yeah,
for a while,
I know in games that I've played, especially when I've been testing with Kevin against an air deck, once, be it Felicia or even we were testing the one game we did with his Hua, when my
That's
opponent
awesome.
got to like 10 foundations, I feel like the game is just completely out of control for me.
You were playing Assets Athena.
If I wasn't playing Assets Athena, though, the game could be really out of control. If you're playing like a 6-hander or a 5-hander.
Yeah, you can lose games to resource advantage. That happens.
Yeah,
I
but
mean, I
I
think
feel like especially on the air symbol, on a 7-hand size air character, it's really, really easy to get that resource advantage with Summer Heat, and then you're bridging the races that you get to ready every turn and all that stupid shit.
so fun. So fun.
So fun. So
fun.
Fun.
I think that's really exciting. I think this new design is going to encourage more attacking. Attacking is going to be good more often.
Yeah, I think that these abilities they're things that scale up as the game goes on, so that you don't have like you remember when Chin first came out and people could play Blazing Storm on turn 1, and these cards like they kind of resemble Blazing Storm. They're like we have Lightning Judgment, which is very similar to Blazing Storm I think in a lot of ways. It takes away your opponent's board, but it's gated so that you can't do it on turn 1 no matter what happens. You can't have those kind of ridiculous games. And I think that's a really good direction to go in, where you can have powerful, exciting effects, but you don't have to worry about getting dunked turn 2.
Right, because if your opponent has 10 foundations by turn 2, either something's gone really wrong for them and they're bad, or things have gone really, really right.
I mean, Jiffy Jammer with Summer Heat just needs to play a couple spams, and she's going to get there, no problem.
Fair enough. But then you're not abysmally behind.
Yeah.
You're still
You
behind.
can catch up to her.
Not abysmally.
Yeah.
So, Hughes, what are your thoughts on the new design?
I'm liking it so far. I want to see more characters and where they're taking it because I've always thought that your character card, since that's what you select to be, that's always going to be in play the entire game, is like the main core mechanic of this game. And I always think that should be most representative of your deck, and they should be powerful. So I want to see more characters and see where design goes with that.
Fair enough. Kevin?
Like I've always believed
sorry.
foundations. Like sorry, just a quick thing is my brain thought on this. Like foundations are just basic cogs that you need for answering certain things. And then characters the most important thing, and then attacks matter definitely a lot because it's how you win. But your character, I believe, should be what decides like like your mindset for how you want to win. So I want to see more character cards.
Kevin Broberg.
I just talked about how great the wall breaker mechanic is, so I don't really have much else to add to it.
All right, let's move on to our next story. There was a UK PTC this last weekend.
Oh man, the hype.
Looks like it was
Mega Man!
Ryu Gopal playing Mega Man. Congratulations to him. I always like briefly glancing over the UK decks because they have a lot of them kind of reflect the North American decks, but they have like different ideas. I don't think they have the same prejudices we do about certain cards just being the best or certain ratios being the way it is because they're so far away and we don't really play each other.
They're just across the pond.
I think it's actually just that the UK guys aren't afraid to be completely insane. I mean, I thought I was pretty out there when I was playing like 17 foundations and 17 assets and stuff. These guys are like, yeah, 23 actions, 23 character cards. I don't give a fuck.
So, yeah, the Mega Man deck, off of all, the actions and assets not terribly surprising. They're the best. They're the best on all right now.
I mean, this is a 46 foundation deck.
Mm-hmm.
Like, through and through. You know, he's playing Blue Bomber because Blue Bomber is kind of sort of an attack if you turn your head sideways enough. If you want to, like, draw your hand and say, if my opponent had 0 cards in hand, would I kill them right now? Blue Bomber being in play is absolutely an attack at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's all about breaking down their wall to get in there, and this deck can definitely accomplish that with Mega Man's ability. I think this deck's great. I think it's like almost a class, like it's really like a classic archetype kind of UFS design. You know, you start playing the game and you're just like, yeah, let me attack a lot, let me jam in there on turn 2 or whatever, and then that kind of strategy will get destroyed 100% of the time by this deck.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and there's some unorthodox attacks in here that I haven't seen really played stateside. Omnidirectional Blade Strike. I've seen that as like a 1 or 2 of in some decks, but I haven't seen anybody running 4 of it.
yeah, I think it's the best ranged stun attack you have. It's pretty much the long and short of it. And you want Mega Man to pump stuff and all your other stuff to pump stuff.
You got Cossack Buster, which hasn't seen a ton of play, and Aerial Ring Boomerang.
We saw a few copies of that in the Gutsman that won.
The Hero Guts, man. I think Cossack Buster has been a staple in all decks. I mean, I remember way back last year at the Master of Magnetism Pro Tour, both Garrett and Devin's decks were playing Cossack Buster in the unblockable deck. Oh my god, but it's unblockable. Why would you play non-unblockable attacks? Well, because Cossack Buster is awesome, is why.
Your foundations, I think a lot of them are as you would expect. The Blue Bomber's really good in a deck like this, I think. Because
I mean,
it takes an attack 2 attacks.
Blue Bomber is almost criminally underplayed, and the fact that I never realized you could just say, "Oh, you're attacking me." Well, my reversal is going to get +4 damage.
Yeah.
I'm embarrassed.
Summer Heat, not surprising. Kyokugan Disciple, Kapoken Training. Joker and You. That's a card I haven't seen a ton of play either, stateside.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fine card. It's fine with Mega Man. It's not incredible. It's fine. Like, I think the story of this deck is just that he wants to build his staging area up. He doesn't want to play a lot of attack cards. Like, proportionally, he's playing like, is it like 13 or 14 if he were playing a 60 card deck? Like, well under a quarter of his deck is attacks, because he wants to play 4 foundations as often as possible, get ahead of you on that, and then, you know, even if he can't, he's still going to put these giant damage numbers on the table.
Well, watch out for Wallbuster, Ryo Gopal. That's going to make your deck a little harder to play. Second place, speaking of decks that aren't going to like the Wallbuster mechanic.
This deck won't give it. This deck won't care at all.
No?
This is the Ham Felicia. You know, it's playing 4 Ever Hopefuls because it's about Ever Hopefuling you. It's not about having cards in play. It's not about walling. It's about killing you.
Fair enough. 4 copies of Up Smash, 4 copies of Navos. Where the heck did they get 4 copies of Up Smash and Navos?
It's probably like he probably had to like go on a quest and like rescue a princess from a castle and stuff. Go into a dungeon.
Surprise Punishment. That is a card that surprised me on this
Whoa! I didn't even see that in here. That's awesome.
list.
Hey
So,
man, 4 mid, like 5 mid 6 is great stats.
mhm. A
Ryan
sketch-
X +2.
it doesn't have any of the Felicia things though to give it 2 damage, 2 speed, does it?
It's got kick, dude.
Oh, it's a kick?
Yeah.
Shit. That card just keeps surprising me.
Sadly, he can't discard 2 of his very easily gained momentum to end his opponent's turn.
Yeah, because he's not Alice.
Sadly.
Yeah, this deck goes ham as air goes. You want to hit early, hit often, and then kill your opponent.
Yeah, like a lot of air decks play a bunch of cards like Gerlich and the Other or Forgotten. This deck doesn't even play 4 Traveling Performers. It's about going in.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, lots of resource advantages. But like, I imagine it doesn't necessarily kill everyone on turn 2. But like, you go second against this deck. He goes turn 1 Ever Hopeful, like get a momentum source somehow. Turn 2 Review Black Justice, kick up smash. Just pack them up. Go home. You're done.
All right. Next, in third place is Infinite Zoe.
Infinite Zoe with main deck self destructs.
I love Self-Destruct. That card is criminally underplayed.
I just 23 actions. Jesus. I mean, I know that.
23 actions.
Wait, he's playing. Oh my! I don't think Ryan Field's playing Superior Technique, is he?
Man, what an idiot!
Well, like you play Superior Technique, you're supposed to like have weapon attacks in your deck to discard from your card pool.
No, you're not. You're supposed to fetch up the things you need for your loop. There's a response on it, Kevin.
Yeah, like the response sucks compared to the form, though, unless you're playing Infinite
Yeah.
Zoe.
That the response is super good.
Yeah, we just get to play 8 copies of Additional Knowledge. That's what's in this deck for. By the way, if you want to pick this deck up, you should try it because it's actually better than it looks. It looks really bad. But Additional
Wow.
Knowledge is you can Additional Knowledge your Summer Heats and then pick them back up and draw an extra card. And you can Additional Knowledge your Infinite Weapons to pick those up and get extra builds out of it. That's the thing I never really realized with this deck was that you can play the actions that are the combo just when you're staring at your opponent doing nothing.
Mm-hmm. Lol. All right, fourth place.
Sanity.
Jack Hawkins with his Life My deck.
So talk to me about my Sean O'Brien.
Beep beep, get out of the way.
It's your girl.
This deck it just plays big fast moves. I mean, that's what it boils down to. I mean, out of the decks we've seen so far, this deck plays the most honest UFS.
I think this deck is really closely tied with that Mega Man deck.
That Mega Man deck also plays good honest UFS. I mean,
This deck plays throws with its honest UFS. That deck doesn't even play throws. It has to play completely fair.
so technology that's in this deck that I hadn't ran in my deck, and I'm still not sure I want to. Spiders and Dragons. It's a 3-diff, and I don't like 3-diff.
Oh, shoot.
Oh,
I don't know
Sorry.
which is more offensive, the phone call in the middle of the show or not liking Spiders and Dragons.
well, you know, I am horrible.
Action card.
Kevin Broberg, I am utterly unlucky, okay? I'll play a Spiders and Dragons, and then I'll
On
play
turn
like...
1?
Huh?
On turn 1? What's wrong with you?
No, I'll play like a Spiders and Dragons, and then I'll like go to play like a How Ryo can, and I'll check a 3. And if I had... And that could make me fail my turn if it's too early, if I hadn't have played the Spiders and Dragons.
Maybe you should play Haryokin, then Spiders, then Leona Blade. Maybe I should do that. That sounds awesome. I never thought of that before.
So, I think there's not too much to say about it. It's a Life My deck.
Yep, it's about pumping things. This
Beat-
deck actually plays a pretty low attack count, too. It's like 69 cards, 18 attacks.
Oh, that's about what my deck played. But then again, that was in a 61 card deck.
Yeah, so that's actually a lot more.
Moving on, this deck is spicy.
Yeah,
Fifth
like-
place.
Like,
Jordan
Yeah.
Switz with Life CA.
This is the one I want to
Actually,
talk
this deck-
about.
I want to read this deck to everybody, alright? So,
No, we're not going to read this whole deck out. We're running
No.
short on time already.
23 character cards.
Yeah, that's
20
the main thing to bring up. 23 character cards.
I
haven't
If I count
s-
correctly, it's 35 6 checks.
He's
I
going
have,
to check how often.
I have not seen a deck like even close to numbers like this since like the very early days of UFS. There was a character card, Ultra Rare Sagat, who was a 723 that had discard your hand and draw a new hand. And we had a guy who played all the throws there at the time, lots of attack, lots of character cards, and just
Yep.
auto passed his throws. And his other ability was like burn your opponent equal to the base damage after your attack resolves, and then end your turn. So we just spike and 10 you on turn 1 and turn 2.
Yeah, I looking at this deck. I think that playing it, I wonder how many games you can win checking badly, because you have 17 attacks, 17 checks lower than 4, or it's lower than 5 even actually, but 14 of those are 2 checks. So I wonder how often you can actually win a game where you check like multiple running 2s, or if I think the deck actually could be more resilient than I'm giving it credit for, where people attack you on turn 2 and you just put +0 mid blocks in front of their moves and take some chip damage, but you live through it most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about how Templar, especially as mid attacks are getting better, is going to get really good. Turns out characters have one less block modifier.
Yep. And I don't know if you've ever done this. Like, ever attacked someone and just assumed they had a character block and a 6 check on top. It is really hard to actually land a hit on them, to actually get your speed up that high.
Mhm.
Like, I mean, it's just math to do it, but it's really hard. Like, I bet Beep Beep can't do that very often, even though it's got all these +3s and +2s all over the place.
Mhm. Up next is Richard Bassendale's Void Athena deck. We know all about this deck.
I mean, credit for doing some original stuff. I 3 Weapon Masters is a little different. He's got Poison Dart in there. He's playing a Swarm of Bats and a Ruler of Time. These are a little bit off the beaten path, somewhat ish. Sideboarding all his revokes instead of. He's got 1 main, I guess, actually.
Only 3 revokes? That's not an. Oh, sorry. I jumped to the wrong list. 4 revokes. That's the correct number to have in this deck.
Yeah, just play 4.
I
I hate 2 Leaf Shields, but yeah, Life Fury, way more interesting.
Way more interesting. Dave Hancock in 7th place. Runs an attack lineup very similar to the My deck. Almost
Yep.
exactly the same.
I think one of the big things with Yuri is that she can tutor for a lot of these things. So like 1x
Yeah.
Kuga is actually very hard to stop her from getting.
Mm-hmm.
You have to either only play foundations and like 1 attack or 1 asset per turn, or just get Kuga.
Yeah, being
She
able to
gets to
tutor up
play-
Cursplats
Yeah,
without having to do
Cursplat
any
Reverse
tricks.
is sweet in this deck. And those 2x Shiranui no Mai's, once again, it's very hard to stop him from being able to get those. And because he's playing 2 and he's playing 3 cards of Seeking Information, it's very likely to be able to have those in his deck to string together an attack string.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
Although,
note to bring up, there is the Mai in the sideboard.
Yeah, this deck can turn into Beat Beat My.
I would be surprised if they both wanted to play Mai, and something got said beforehand, and he just switched that in.
that's possible.
So that way they didn't diversify each other.
I mean, I think Yuri is a very different deck than Mai. I
Yeah,
mean, they look similar, but they play out so much differently.
and
Yeah.
Yuri's going to gain more vitality more often than My, which makes Zeltserite much better in Yuri, as evidenced by being in this deck list and not being in the My deck list.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
he switches in the Team Women Fighters and Grandmother's Hairpin from the board for it.
Presumably, yeah.
I gotta say, I was very unimpressed by Zeltserite. I wonder if it was better for Dave than it was for me in my Life Dimitri deck, but I just never liked it there. Even though I could 5+ and put it into my card pool sometimes, just trading a life, like getting a life gain, is already kind of a sketchy proposition. Even if you're playing like a negative stolen or playing Yuri in this case, because if your opponent has a throw block, then they don't take any damage at all, and if you're landing hits, you're often in good shape anyway.
Yeah, but getting to draw that extra card could mean the difference
Yeah.
between winning and losing.
Yeah, you got to find your card advantage somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And Yuri is really good at getting card advantage.
Yeah, it's really important for her to get card advantage, because that's actually about all she's got going for her.
Mm-hmm.
She gets to often tutor up Templars to block with. She often gets to tutor up Splats and Haraukins, almost, actually that's guaranteed basically. but aside from that and gaining 1 life on hit, she doesn't do anything at all.
Mhm.
So she doesn't have that much life either. Anyway.
Moving on to 8th place, we have Nathan Squire with all.
Oh, this is not Miles Tyler. This is Neomax Terry.
He's
This is
played
throw it
he's
down,
played
not over yet.
Neomax.
Taste it, turn 1 kill.
He's played Neomax Terry before.
Yeah, but he doesn't that often.
So, this deck's kind of spicy. Now, this deck has the potential to kill people super duper fast.
Yeah, this foundation base though. Look at that.
31 foundations.
16 0 diffs. Because we're not about failing our cards turn 1.
No.
Actually, whoa. I don't believe this. There are no summer heats in this deck. This guy's a budget deck. Well, I don't know what
Judge.
He clearly
Judge.
isn't a 0 diff.
This guy's insane. Disqualified. Next deck.
Just
Who was in 9th place? We're not talking about this anymore.
Kevin, you can't diversify people because they didn't run summer heat.
I mean, this is one approach to deck building which I consider highly suboptimal. I'll just tell you that right. I'll tell you that to your face. Like, you should
Not running Summer Heat.
Well, playing 16 zero diff foundations means you very highly value getting to play a 0 diff on turn 1, and it's just not that important. It's really not.
16 is definitely higher. Especially in a 6-hander. Like
Yeah,
if there was if this
Card-
was Jiffany Jamber, I could make an argument for it.
Well, I could dismantle that argument too, but it'd be a little bit harder. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that the one place where you do want to have a ton of 0 diffs is if you're going to go first form not over yet, build a couple, and you want to be sure you're going to pass them all, and then play a big move. But actually,
one thing.
not even playing 2 checks.
Hold on a second, Kevin Broberg. There is one problem with. No, never mind. It doesn't have. Never mind. Ignore me. For some reason, I thought the foundations had to roll a block for Terry, but I was just rereading him, and they don't. It just could be a foundation.
It can be any non-attack. You can actually.
You just throw it down.
Well, you can use throw it down, because that's his card. That's his whole thing. But you can use, I believe it's Original Legends, and turn your attack face out in your card pool. It's not an attack anymore. And you can use. I remember at one of the California Pro Tours like a year ago or something. There was a Terry deck that actually played one of Neomax Mai's attacks that turns itself face down after it resolves. So you go throw it down, that thing, I think it has stun 1, flip it down, play another move on only 1 progressive, not attack card right before it, blow them up. +3, +3, +3.
So congratulations to everybody from the UK. I like seeing their non-traditional, just not decks that we normally play over here. So there's some thoughts I think to consider for our decks.
I really like the CA deck.
And once again, congratulations to you guys. Looks like you had a decent number of players turn out for this event, so that's also really cool. I'm glad to see UFS is really strong in England, and awesome. So moving on to our final business for the evening, because we are running out of time, is our upcoming events. So our next Pro Tour is April 9th and 10th at a Gamer's Paradise in Las Vegas, Nevada, or Nevada, depending on how you want to pronounce it. We've been into that store a couple times. We've had to last minute finish national worlds at that store once. It's a cool place. They got lots of cool video games. Go show up. I bet you it's going to be a big event with the local Las Vegas UFS scene. Kevin Broberg, are you going to that event?
I haven't firmly decided I'm not, but I haven't booked a ticket yet. So
you better do that soon-ish if you decide to go, because I mean you may be at the top of the Player of the Year standings, but if people keep showing up,
slip it down every day. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. You know what I mean.
Especially not winning the PTC in Poughkeepsie. That hurts you.
I scored maximum points for someone who didn't win. I actually scored more points than you can top 8 and then win, and then you score less points than me that time.
Jason wants you to come because he thinks you'll bring in more people.
Yeah.
So clearly, Jason _Jasko should pay for your plane ticket to the Las Vegas PTC.
I believe that's called an appearance fee in the world of Magic.
I do have a voucher from a PTC I won recently, but does not cover it. It is significantly more money than that amount.
After the
Actually,
Las Vegas PTC, while not a UFS tournament, Rochester CCG will be doing demos all weekend at UBCon, April 15th to 17th. That's in Buffalo, New York. So we're going to be showing people how to play UFS, helping to grow that local Buffalo play group. We're also going to be running our booths, selling other things like the new Mega Man board game, Chasmos, a couple card games that Jason doesn't play. But stop by and see us. We're going to be giving, I got a lot of great giveaways we're going to be doing that weekend that nobody knows about yet, but it's going to be awesome.
Giveaways.
So if you can make it out, we'd love to see you.
Oh, I can't be a part of those giveaways.
No, you can't.
I have to work.
Yeah, you got to work. April 30th to May 1st is the Omaha PTC at Run of the Mill Games out in Omaha, Nebraska. Omaha. Kevin Broker.
You'll see who wins that one if they're currently at the top 5 player of the year standings or not. They've had a lot of PTC winners this season. We'll have to see who takes that one down. Or I hope that it's someone who's not even on the leaderboard right now, so that I have less people challenging me.
Why can't it be you, Kevin Brober?
It could be me. I also haven't ruled that one out.
That play group, as we know, Omaha is where Legendary Wolf is our main competitor, but they're cool. But you should definitely buy your cards for that event from Rochester CCG before you go. So after the Omaha PTC is the Las Vegas 2K, May 14th to 15th at Level Up Expo in Las Vegas, Nevada. Kevin Broberg, are you going to that event?
I haven't ruled it out.
I will murder you if you don't show up to that. You'll be out of the movie.
Certainly planning on attending that one. Although flights aren't actually much cheaper than 2 weeks from now for that one.
So we have something special for people who are going to the Las Vegas 2K this year. Special playmat that Rochester CCG is going to be getting a hold of. Hughes, want to cue that up for us?
Yep. Give me a moment. Oh no, your image is too high quality. People are seeing way too much of a zoom in on that image. Let me try and fix this.
Oh man.
Someone
are we treating our viewers to the booty butt cheeks?
Basically, we did.
So while Hughes is trying to work on our
To
technical
contain the booty
here,
There's a really tiny image of it for the moment till I fix it.
there is going to be a exclusive playmat. Thank you to Jasco Games for helping me put this on. We're going to have lots of booties, a little side boob action, and we are going to be representing. We got Level Up Expo. They were nice enough to have us for this event, so they're on here. And playmat exclusive to the Rochester CCG 2K. So if you want this playmat, you better show up.
I'm not going to say the other way you could get it, because that would require poor attendance. And we're gonna sell out of these. We're not gonna have any left.
No, this is a very popular. This is gonna be a very popular playmat. It's gonna be very sought after. So you should be there to make sure you get one.
Yeah, one way to get it. That's to sign up now for the Rochester 2K.
After the show,
Level Up has put the sign-ups up for the event. Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's not through Level Up.
Yeah, that's gonna be through Level Up.
Yep.
So we'd love to see everybody there. Book your tickets now because it's getting a little close to the event. I'd like to have 75 people. Let's have at least 75 for this 2K. So I'm putting a lot of pressure on you Vegas people to show up. It's right in your hometown.
You can make it 76 if you put me in your trunk.
There ain't gonna be no room in my trunk with all the stuff we gotta take.
I'll sit on
He's
Jesse's
bringing
lap.
all the junk.
You know, Hughes, you used to have a plane ticket that you could have used to go to Las Vegas.
I could have, but I got a PS4 instead, and that would have been, even if I had kept it, I would have used that to go to Worlds.
Oh, Jason would like to mention that Jasco Games is the head sponsor for this event. So also looks good if lots of people show up to this for him too. So make sure you do.
Yep.
After the Las Vegas 2K is the Winnipeg PTC, May 21st and 22nd at Amusing Games, way up in Winnipeg. Being that it's Winnipeg, it might still be snowing. It might also be 80 degrees. You never know.
It's by mid-May. The winter should have broken even that high up.
Yeah, weather's really screwy up there. Let's see. After the Winnipeg PTC is the Rochester PTC, June 4th to 5th. If you haven't seen enough of my beautiful face,
you can see us in person.
You can see. Well, I plan to be in Las Vegas. You can see us in person there.
You can behold my beautiful. But we're not. So actually, do we have a location for the Rochester PTC yet?
We're playing for Millennium Games and Hobbies, our local brick and mortar store.
So you won't be able to see Kevin Broberg in the playmat natural habitat, but you can certainly come close, and I will pose for you. I will pose for pictures.
After the Rochester 2K is the Reading 2K, June 25th to 26th. Unfortunately, I don't know where Reading is. I'm guessing
California.
California.
Yeah, I've always the California PTCs have always had excellent deck lists. They've always been really exciting to talk about. So I hope they have a good turnout to that one. However far out that actually is, like 3 months.
Presumably, at some point after the Reading PTC, in the summer or fall, Nationals will be coming up. Jason mentioned that they're still trying to find a venue. I know if Jason would be willing to have Nationals here in Rochester, I would find a great venue for him. The playmat in its natural habitat.
It'd be the best. You too could sit in front of a fireplace while in between rounds of the PTC and sip from the cup.
But unfortunately, Rochester is kind of a pain in the ass city to fly into, so
we have an international airport.
Allegedly. You can't fly anywhere directly except for Atlanta, Detroit.
Yeah, I get direct flights to Chicago, but if I want to fly to Chicago, I get routed through Atlanta. And vice versa.
Great.
Never direct. Does not happen.
So, I think that wraps up everything we need for tonight. We're only a couple of minutes over. The end of the show, I do like to do a little segment we tried once before, talk a little bit about what we're doing this weekend. And I know this Friday I'm going to play some UFS with my friends Kevin Broberg and Matt Hughes if he shows up. Saturday I'm going to visit with my friend Tim Keefe. And then on Sunday is WrestleMania.
Gonna wrestle.
Gonna watch some wrestling. New Day rocks. Kevin Broberg, anything exciting this week for you?
The WWE. I'm excited about WrestleMania. I'm excited about getting food on days this like Friday and Saturday. I'm not sure what I'm playing this weekend. This Friday, I might just play Dimitri because I tweaked it a bit. And I'm hoping Christine plays Hua. Hua's exciting. I'm really excited about Hua.
Hua. Matt Hughes, what's on your docket for this weekend?
I plan to show up Friday if Jeff puts the deck together for me.
Sure. Now it's Giggles' fault.
Oh, it was his fault last week.
Builds a deck.
I sent him a deck list. Like, if you want to build the deck for me, I just want to play Wag's Arrowman deck.
I mean, I do charge a deck building fee of $100.
Sure, no.
You should talk to Andrew Forrest. He has a Pharaohman deck.
There you go.
It's similar in spirit, if perhaps not execution, to Wag's deck. I know it was playing Pharaoh, the Pharaoh Wave, the big one.
Yeah, Pharaoh Wave.
Well before.
And Dragon Cannon.
He wasn't playing Dragon Cannon, but he was playing Pharaoh Wave. Pharaoh Wave's great.
So I think that about wraps us up for this evening's episode of Top Deck Heroes. We will see you again next week. Don't forget to check out Total Justice Gaming Thursday nights. I'm sure they'll have, with the pace that Jasco Games is releasing spoilers right now, I'm sure they'll have another spoiler or two by tomorrow.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully it's that really awesome one that I just asked Jason for.
And make sure you like our Facebook page, Rochester CCG, to get updates on in-stock singles and updates to any of that fun stuff. We're going to have the new playmat up on the Facebook page after the event in a size that people can see. So good times, fun times. We'll see you next week. Goodbye.
Take care, everyone.
Night, folks.